Okay, Hare Krishna. So yesterday we were discussing about this various concepts of what are the possible challenges the yogi may face and how he should handle, how he should tackle them. So that we discussed. Especially importance of regulation. We discussed about the importance of regulation and engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, and how one should not eat too much or too less, sleep too much or sleep too less, work too much. So all these things are regulated. So these are all things which aid the practice of yoga. So more or less we can say this is the part of pratyahara. Pratyahara means pratyahara is basically restraining the senses from sense objects, or we may say yama niyam also. It comes everywhere. So 19th, so 20th verse today.
20 to 20.
So please read 20 to 23, 4 verses.
Ajit, can you read?
Chitta
Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya
yatra jaivatmanatmanam
yatra chaivatmanatmanam pasyanatmani tushyati.
Next also.
All 4.
Sukhamatyanittakam yat
Sukhamatyantikam yat
buddhigrahya matindriyam
buddhigrahya matindriyam
yatra
vetti yatra na chaivaya
chalati tatvatah
sitaschalati tatvatah
yam labhva chaparam labham
labdva chaparam labham
अन्यतेनाधिकं तदा यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन नापि विचालयते
गुरुणापि विचाल्यते
तं विद्यात् दुःख संयोगो
तं विद्या दुःख संयोग
वियोगं योग संजितम्
वियोगं योग संधितम्.
Translation: in the state of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and relish and rejoice in the self. And that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such position, one is never shaken. Even in the midst of the greatest difficulty, this indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material content. But by practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristic of yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in a trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi relies the super soul to transcendental mind and intelligence, without any of misgiving of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principle of Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul in the super soul, and the monist thinks is to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of Patanjali system of yoga. There is acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of
Geopard.
geoparding. The theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non-dualist. But in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted. And this is col- corroborated by Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, Puruskar
पुरुषार्थ शून्यानं गुणानं प्रतिप्रसव कैवल्यं स्वरूप प्रतिष्ठा वा चिति शक्ति.
This Chiti Shakti is internal potency in the transcendental. Purusartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and the end to attempt to become a one with the Supreme. This oneness is the Supreme. It's called Kaivalyam by the monists. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an eternal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of constituted position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Cheto Darpana Marjan. You see? Or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation. Or Bhavamaha Dhavagni Nirvapana. The theory of Nirvana also preliminarily corresponds with the principle. In the Bhagavatam 2.10.6, this is called Swarupena Vyavastita. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms this situation in this verse. After Nirvana or the material cessation, there is a manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. In the word of Bhagavatam, Swarupena Vyavastita, this is a real life of the living entity. Maya or illusion is the contaminated by material infection. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his word, Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtava Chiti Shakti. This Chiti Shakti or transcendental pleasure is a real life. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra 1.12 as Anandamayo Abhyasa. This natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and, and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga will be vividly described later, beginning in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the yoga system, as described in the chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called Sampradhyanta Samadhi,
Sampradhyata Samadhi.
Sampradnya Samadhi and Asampradnya Samadhi. When one becomes situated in a transcendental position by various philosophical researches, he is said to have achieved Sampradhyanta Samadhi. And this Asampradhyanta Samadhi, there is no longer any conception with mundane pleasure, for one is the transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach the position, he is unsuccessful. Today, so-called yoga practice, which involves various sense pleasure, is a contradiction. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections, in the process of yoga are not perfectly situated. If yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection. As is stated in this verse, person therefore indulging in the make show of a practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga in the age of in the age, he is a Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any of the happiness. There are many impediments, especially in the age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and any other yoga. But there is no such a problem in exhibiting Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of body and the eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is the pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the sense while meeting the demands of body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessity of life, making the best use of bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of the most dear relative. But he is always alert to exhibit his duties in Krishna consciousness or in the Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Agmapayino Nityastam Sutiksha Bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in the yoga practice.
Very good. So after reading this purport, how many of you feel like following Patanjali yoga system? We are satisfied with Patanjali medicines. We don't want to follow any yoga system over there. Isn't it? So difficult. This is all that concept, that terminologies were so difficult also to even recite some pradnyata, samadhi and all that. Or some, it's so tough. But actually the beauty is that even without not knowing those things, if you read this purport, if you have listened, Prabhupada tells that how all those concepts which are explained in yoga are also there in devotional service, but in a simplified form. Isn't it? Like there was one stage which was described. It is so complex that even I don't remember what was that stage, but Prabhupada says that is a similar stage like Chetodarpana Marjan. Oh, ekdam simple to understand. But that what it was description over there, it was so complex, isn't it? So these verses, 4 verses, they are describing about the realization in perfection of Ashtanga Yoga. This is the stage of Samadhi now. So before some time before we were discussing about Yoga Rudha stage, which starts from Dhyana. But this is now at Samadhi, at the perfection of Samadhi of Ashtanga Yoga. These are the symptoms which they have. So they are describing the experience of the perfect yogi who has attained in the Brahman platform. So one of the main important aspect of this is what? Fixity. Fixity is one of the main aspect of this kind of perfection. Means he's fixed up in yoga. You cannot remove him from yoga now. So we see that such fixity was explained about Jnana Yogi also. If you remember about Jnana Yogi in previous chapter, in 2.2 second chapter, it was mentioned about Jnana Yoga. He was called as Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshu. So that steadiness or fixity is basically, now this is called as Ashtanga Yoga's fixity. That was describing about Jnana Yoga's fixity. But ultimately the principle is same. Principle is of steadiness. So, but Jnana Yogi is little better because not better. It is easier than Ashtanga Yogi because this type of samadhi is easier. And of course, more easier is, as Prabhupada is mentioning, that in Kali Yuga it is so difficult to follow all that particular things. So Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga is the best. It is most relevant in Kali Yuga. So So these are the realizations. What are the realizations this yogi gets in the stage of samadhi? So now previous verse we described that he gets freedom from all the miseries, right? By regulating life, if you remember. By regulation in life, now he has become freedom from all miseries. But now freedom from miseries doesn't mean happiness. Generally, concept of person freedom from misery means it is not called as happiness, it is called as relief. It is like you know, you are very hungry, you get something to eat, so that is called as relief of hunger. It is not called as happiness. Happiness means you get feast. You understand? No? This is a difference. So then what is, so not only such a yogi who is fixed in samadhi, he gets relief from misery, but he also gets these things. What he gets? He gets happiness, boundless. He gets boundless happiness. What is the terminology used here? Sukham atyantikam yattat, na? What is that? Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhi grahyam atindriyam. Sukham atyantikam. Atyantik means बहुत ज़्यादा सुख. It's extreme happiness one gets. So actually we see that the modern man is thinking by happiness comes only by some material possessions and by material arrangements. But it is not like that. That is only one level of happiness we can say, or this is kind of relief. But the real happiness actually comes by yogic practices, by connection with transcendence. So with that one experiences enormous amounts of happiness, and that happiness cannot be compared to the happiness of this material world. That happiness is so more that the happiness of connecting with transcendence is like ocean, and the happiness on a gross material platform is like one drop. So one may say, how is it? See, there are different happinesses at different levels. There is happiness at sensual level, which is topmost of it is sexual happiness. But then there is happiness at mental level. That is more than sensual happiness, isn't it? So that's why a person who is having happiness at mental level, he can even forego sensual happiness sometimes. We see many poets and all are there. They are like, in the apni dunya mein lagte bahut baar, because they are getting some mental happiness. So they may not be so much after, gross happiness. But then intellectual happiness is more than mental happiness also. You see this Einstein, he would be, it is said about him that sometimes he would enter into his laboratory and he would work, that he would research continuously for hours together. So his mother would be little upset, what about his eating? And then he told mother, actually, no, I have very important work to do, so you should not disturb me for eating and all that. You should simply, so you keep the tiffin at the door. Whenever my break time comes, I would take it. And sometimes mother would bring second meal. By that time, first meal tiffin will be as it is. Can you imagine? He has not taken any meal for entire day. He has not eaten anything, because that intellectual happiness of researching and all is so high that it crosses over this eating happiness and sleeping and all that happiness. One can forego that, and one can even forego mental happiness also. He doesn't require any motherly love and care also. All that is mental happiness. You require some love, care, emotional support. He doesn't require even that. He is happy in intellectual pursuits. And egoistic happiness is even higher. People are ready to do anything these days for egoistic happiness, right? Of name, fame, isn't it? People want to be very famous everywhere. So for that, people they can forego anything. So, and then, but actually higher than that is the spiritual happiness. And of course, in spiritual happiness also there is gradations. Brahman realization happiness, Paramatma realization happiness, then Vaikuntha happiness and Goloka happiness. It's like still there is gradation in that also. So ultimately, but spiritual happiness is so great. That's why it is called as सुखम अत्यंतिकम. बहुत ज्यादा सुख प्राप्त होता है जिसकी हम कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते इधर. भौतिक जगत में अभी हम उसकी कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते, यानी अभी स्टेज प्रेजेंट स्टेट कंडीशन स्टेट। और ये कहाँ मिलता है, वो भगवत धाम जाने के बाद नहीं बोल रहे, इधर ही भौतिक जगत में ही मिल रहा है उनको। कैसे मिल रहा है? योगा, योगा से मिल रहा है। भगवान से जो कनेक्ट होते हैं, ट्रांसेंडेंस से जो कनेक्ट होते हैं। सो this applies in Krishna consciousness also. In our Krishna consciousness also same concept is there. What is that? Anandam buddhi vardhanam. हमारा भी हमेशा, और Krishna says in 9th chapter also that susukham kartum avyayam. So nobody should think that if I practice Krishna consciousness I will become more miserable. You know, that is not correct. One will gain so much of happiness. Otherwise, are our acharyas and so many devotees, are they fools that they are practicing Krishna consciousness? They must be getting so much of happiness, right? That's why. So one devotee's mother, she went to Krishnanand Prabhu and she said, "What is this? My son has become devotee. This, that. I'm not happy with him like this. You know. So he has given up onion garlic. He has given up meat eating. You know, he doesn't watch TV also when he comes home. So we are very upset with him." So Krishnanand Prabhu says, "Mataji, dekho, if your son, suppose he is earning 20,000 rupees job and he gets an offer of 40,000, so what you will tell him?" I'll tell him that give up that 20,000 job and accept 40,000 rupees wala job. So exactly same thing has happened now with him. He has got higher happiness, so that's why he's giving up this onion garlic and TV and meat eating and all that. He's giving that up because he's getting higher happiness. So what is wrong? Like that he told that Mataji. So there is such a authentic sukh, you know, person gets so much of happiness actually. So as Tukaram Maharaj also describes, Ananda Sedo hi Ananda Taranga. आता है आगे का? I know these two lines only. श्री राम going through है क्या हमारे, उनको आता रहेगा. आनंदा चेडो ही आनंद तरंग. So he sings that. He's saying, I am drowning in the ocean of bliss. You know? So you know there is such a joy actually in Krishna consciousness. So we should not think that by practice of spiritual life I'll be loser. No, there is so much gain. There is so much of happiness, and that happiness is the thing. Okay. Whatever. You don't have time for that. Prasad Prabhu may be knowing also. Prasad Prabhu. This song, Tukaram Maharaj. So that's how we should think. We should be convinced of this, that actually I am gaining more happiness. Yes, sir.
F11 full.
So we get more happiness. Then second, so we are not here fools, you know, who are trying to do our devotional service because we are, you know, we are not fools to do for nothing. You know, we are doing so much, getting up early morning, chanting so much rounds, and you know, following some rules and regulations. It is not that devotees are some fools that they are unnecessarily doing these things. No, they are after higher happiness. So they are actually real selfish because you know, they are after the actual highest type of happiness. So how one gets that happiness? By direct experience of soul and super soul within the heart. Then second characteristic is one becomes fixed up. One's focus never departs from the truth. So it is not sinusoidal wave now for him. He is fixed up. He is like fixed at the lotus feet of the, fixed in samadhi. So he cannot come back from that. He cannot come out of that. Even if you offer him thousands of rupees, lakhs of rupees, or even if you offer him all the best heavenly delights, he will not accept them. He is fixed up in less transcendental happiness. Then highest gain means what is that? यम लब्ध्वा चापरम लाभम मन्यते नाधिकम ततः, अभी कुछ नहीं चाहिए, ये सबसे ज्यादा गेन. He feels, अरे ये, this is the highest gain in my life. What else is required? You see, this Balaji's Vahan Garudji is there. When he comes as a Vahan, Garudji, Balaji comes as procession. So they put Garud as a Vahan. So how his mudra is like this mudra. So what is the meaning of that? Telling, अरे Lord is sitting behind my neck, behind on my back. What else is required in life? अभी और क्या चाहिए जीवन में? So that's what saying, यम लब्ध्वा चापरम लाभम मन्यते नाधिकम, तथा अभी कुछ नहीं चाहिए, ये है सबसे highest thing I have got in my life. Now nothing more is required. This is the topmost thing. So what else I should aspire for now? There is nothing else to be aspired for. Then next one is unshaken. न दुखेन गुरुडापि विचाल्यते, यस्मान् संस्थितो न दुखेन guru. Guru means big. Even though highest misery may come in his life, still na vichalyate, still he doesn't become vichalit. He doesn't get disturbed by that. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that devotee doesn't care for even though there may be highest amount of miseries in his life, still he doesn't care. He doesn't get disturbed by that. Any examples? Sudama, okay. Yeah, Sudama was undisturbed actually. Haridas Thakur, so much misery. He was bitten in 22 marketplaces, still he was all right. There was no more, he was not suffering because of that. He was insulted, he was beaten, he was envied upon by Ramchandra Khan, but he was very peaceful. Any other? Prahlad Maharaj, best example, right? Because he got, I think, the unimaginable miseries which we cannot even think of. But he was always undisturbed, always thinking of Narayan. When he saw poison, what he thought? Yeah, it is coming from Lord only. Poison, nothing comes without sanction of the Lord. Everything comes from the sanction of the Lord. So he said, this is not poison, it is come by Lord, means it is Amruta. So he drank it, and actually it got converted into Amruta. Then he saw the snakes. He remembered Lord Ananta Shesh. He said, my Lord Ananta Shesh, they are his associates. So snakes also did not do anything. So in this way, when he was put in fire, that time he saw, oh, Lord is Agni Dev Yajna. He is the Yajna Purush. So in this way, even those highest miseries came. Actually, we can imagine what amount of misery. One was this physically, so many miseries came. Another was emotionally, so much misery must be there, right? His own father is trying to kill. If somebody is, father is trying to kill. These days, these cases of father raping daughter have increased a lot. We'll see now, every now and often, some news comes that father only raped the daughter. Can you imagine how horrible this is? Like, we should not even imagine it, because we'll be horrified by that. Rape for daughter, father is the ultimate shelter, right? Sometimes even the husband is a bogus fellow, then she can at least return to father. She at least has some shelter till father is alive in life. Daughter has some security. If father only rapes the daughter, then kaha jayegi abhi wo bechari? Where she should go? She had no hope only in life practically. She will become hopeless only practically. But then Prahlad Maharaj own father only doing similar thing with him. He is only killing him. So we can see such an emotional torture it will be. We cannot even imagine our own father killing us, right? so but still Prahlad Maharaj was happily situated. He had no misery. In fact, after that also he did not ask for anything further. He did not say, अभी भगवान मैंने इतना दुख झेला है, अभी मुझे सुख चाहिए केवल, अभी दुख नहीं चाहिए, अभी केवल सुख चाहिए, बहुत दुख दे झेला. No, he was saying that I am ready to stay here only, he said. At least इतना दुख झेलने के बाद भगवान बोले अभी हो गया भगवान, मेरा हार्ट प्यूरिफाई हो गया, अभी back to God लेके चलो ना. We would say like that. But then he did not say, he said, I want to remain here only in material world. As long as all other fools and rascals are there in material world, to deliver them out of love, I want to remain with them and try to deliver them. So he's the best example. Guru napi dukkhena vichalyate. Even the highest misery may come, he never gets disturbed by that. So Tukaram Maharaj also very nice. So much problems, so many miseries. He was fixed up. And then last one is freedom. free from all miseries. Hmm. Tam vidya dukkha sanyogam viyogam yoga sarvam. He's become free from all the miseries. There is no more misery for him. So because he gives up material contact, so there is no misery. As long as there is material contact, the misery will be there. Like that. So this is the realizations of yogi in perfection. So that's how he thereby relishes boundless transcendental happiness. Then there is, and he thinks there is no greater joy than this, and never departs. And then he escapes all other miseries. So actually, unless until actually this is applies to devotees also. It is not only for a Ashtanga yogi. This is for Bhakti yogi also. So unless until we have that experience of happiness in Krishna consciousness, we will not be able to compromise with material happiness. Our hankering for material happiness will not go. So the one of the major reason why that nadikam manyate tataha, that state we have not attained yet. The devotee thinks, oh, I have got Krishna in my life, I don't need anything else. That state we have not attained. Why? Because we are not experiencing that great happiness, which comes by devotion. Some happiness we have experienced, कि थोड़ा happiness का तो experience है, but it is not, that atyantикam sukham का experience नहीं है अभी तक. But that atyantикam sukham, so in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami calls it as Sandhrananda Visheshatma. Sandhrananda Visheshatma means it's like a condensed bliss. So Yadavadi Mama Chaita Krishna Padara Vindayor Navanavara Sadhamni Udyantam Rantu Mahasit Tadavadhi Vatanar Nari Sangama Smarya Mane Shushtu Vika Mukha Nishtivanamcha. He says that since I have got in Krishna consciousness, I am relishing newer and newer mellows of devotional service. And that's why when I think of material happiness epitomized by sexual life, I just spit at that thought. So we don't have that realization because we are not able to relish that Navanava Rasa Dhamni Rantumas Udyantam Rasa. We are not able to relish that. When one relishes that Sandhrananda Visheshatma, that is relished at Bhava stage actually. So till the time devotional service is mixed with anarthas, till the time we are practicing devotional service mixed with anarthas, while maintaining the anarthas we are rendering devotional service, till that time we cannot experience that enormous amount of happiness. That atyantik sukh we cannot experience. So that's why devotees, should be our endeavors that we should get rid of our anarthas. We should try to free ourselves from anarthas. Then we can experience that highest happiness. And then even though there may be highest miseries in life, one will not be disturbed by that. So purport Prabhupada is writing, what is the primary characteristic of yoga principle? One becomes gradually detached from material concepts. That is the primary principle. And then eventually one becomes situated in trance. And trance means what? Not sleep. Sometimes some devotees sleep, so we say it's trance mein gaye. Samadhi mein gaye. It's not sleep. It is what? Trance means what? Dreaming about Krishna? Okay. Maybe
Transcendental.
kind of trance. Huh?
Transcendental.
Transcendental? Transcendental means what exactly? What do you mean by trance? को संस्कृत में क्या बोलेंगे? Samadhi.
able to focus on one object for a long time.
Any object?
For in devotees or in yogi stage, it is Lord.
Yes. So trance means sublime. Okay, sublime also. Basically, trance means focus on the Supreme Lord, concentration on the Supreme Lord. That is called as trance or samadhi. So definition of samadhi means one is realizing super soul through one's transcendental mind and intelligence, and one can clearly see spiritual self and super self, both. One can clearly see both this personality, and one just meditates on them. That is called as trance. But for getting, so that at that stage of samadhi, there is so much of happiness, which is described in this verse. But this transcendental pleasure, this pleasure is not material pleasure, it is transcendental pleasure. But this transcendental pleasure comes through transcendental senses. Transcendental pleasure cannot be experienced through material senses. So one may say, but this yogi appears to be in material world, so he has not got transcendental senses. Then how you can say that he is experiencing transcendental pleasure? You understood the question? Yogi is in material world, he has got material senses. How we can say that he can experience transcendental senses? Because just now we stated that transcendental pleasure can be experienced through transcendental senses, not through material senses.
His senses are purified. That's why.
Because of engaging the senses in the transcendental state, so his senses become also spiritualized. They are not material. Just like iron rod put into fire becomes fiery. Same way. So, so this phrase mentioned in this translation, it indicates that soul and super soul are individual entities. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So Patanjali Yoga system is not advocating monism, means oneness of soul and super soul. It is mentioning two different personalities. Those Prabhupada, that's why writes in the purport that those who are unauthorized commentators, they say that Atma so Paramatma. उनका वो philosophy है, जो आत्मा है वही परमात्मा है. It's not like that. They are not able to see there are two different personalities staying there. So, and monist thing means once I become Paramatma, I merge into Paramatma. Either they have one concept that there is only one person, that is whatever you call Atma or Paramatma, or another type of monists, they have concept that okay, there are two, but the goal is that Atma at the stage of liberation, Atma merges into Paramatma. It's like that. But they do not understand that this is not the purpose of Patanjali system of yoga actually. Patanjali system is there is acceptance of transcendental pleasure. And but monist, this Mayavadis, impersonate, they don't accept this. Whereas in Patanjali, it is very clearly accepted. So we see that this whole entire Ashtanga Yoga system is more or less based on this Patanjali system of yoga. So, and Prabhupada is very clearly establishing that how Patanjali establishes also is a difference between soul and super soul. They are not one. And as such, Prabhupada doesn't quote here, but there are so many Upanishadic statements also. Samane Vrukshe, what is that? Two birds are sitting on the same tree. This comes in two Upanishads. Shveta Upanishad, I think, and Katha Upanishad or Mandukya? Katha Upanishad, it comes also. So, and so Mayavadis, they don't accept the duality of this knower and the known, the knowledge and knower. But this verse tells that transcendental pleasure is realized through transcendental senses. That is accepted. So, and Patanjali is provocating. So Patanjali is not propagating monism, but those who are some misinterpreters, they have interpreted it like that. That yoga means impersonalism, monism, they are telling. So Kaivalya, this is the very favorite word of impersonalist Mayavadis. Kaivalya, they say. Kaivalya means what? Yeah, you become one sense. It is like that, So, but when Patanjali is mentioning this Chiti Shakti, Shakti means there has to be Shaktiman, right? It cannot be that Shakti, as such Shakti and Shaktiman, there is no one sense, no difference, but at the another sense, there is difference also. So just like there is sun and sunlight, one sense there is no light difference between sun and sunlight because both look similar, right? Sun planet and sunlight, both look similar. Sunlight is what? Heat and light. Sun is also heat and light. So that way, quality wise, they are same. But can you say that both are quantity wise same? No. When we say that sunlight has come into our room, what? Imagine if sun only comes into our room, what will happen? Whole room will be burnt to ashes, right? So similarly, energy and energetic are one sense similar. So there is Achintya Vedabhed. In the terms of quality, they are similar. When it comes to quantity, it is not same. Shakti and Shaktiman, there is some difference. So his Chiti Shakti is mentioning. Who is mentioning? Patanjali. So, so this Chiti Shakti is what we call as in our simple devotional language, we call it as the internal potence of the Lord. Chiti Shakti, that they call it as Chiti Shakti. We call it as our internal potence. Radharani, Ladini Shakti, or whatever, internal potence. Lakshmi. That's called as Chiti Shakti. And it is transcendental. Then Purushartha. So Purushartha means there are 4 Purushartha. What is that? Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So what is that Moksha? People think that Moksha means merge into Supreme now. You merge into Brahman. That is what they call as Moksha. And that's what they explain as Kaivalya also. So, Monists, what they say, Kaivalya means just become one with Supreme. You don't have to make any distinction. You just become homogeneous. But we know, what is the example we give?
Green parrot.
Green parrot entering into green tree. Although it seems that it has merged, but it never becomes homogeneous with the tree. Although he may not be visible in the tree. Similarly, aeroplane flying in the sky. Sometimes we see after that, sometime aeroplane is merged into the sky. But what will happen if it actually merges into the sky? Every traveler will be killed only. No traveler, once you board an aeroplane, no more coming back. Isn't it? He will never come back because he has merged into the sky.
What is our definition of Kaivalya?
That's what we are discussing. So according to Patanjali also, Prabhupada explained the purport, is that internal transcendental potency, Kaivalyam is the internal potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. What is Patanjali's definition of Kaivalya? It is not merging. It is an internal potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. So that is Kaivalya. So what is our understanding of oneness? One becomes one with the Lord in quality. Lord is Sachidananda. Currently we are in the atmosphere of Asat, Achit and Nirananda. But when we become one with the Lord, means we become one in the quality with the Lord, means we also attain the state of Sachidananda. That is oneness. And then there is oneness of purpose. Lord's purpose is enjoyment and our purpose is to give enjoyment to the Lord. There is oneness of purpose. There is oneness of interest. So these things Prabhupada mentions in Ishopanishad. If you read Ishopanishad, Prabhupada describes about this oneness. So devotee's oneness means he becomes one in purpose with the Lord, one in quality with the Lord, one in interest with the Lord. But he doesn't become homogeneous with the Lord. So then Prabhupada is also selling that, so same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls as Cheto Darpana Marjana, cleansing of the mind and understanding our real identity. So same Kaivalya is same there. Then Prabhupada is telling also about Swarupena Vyavasthiti, so Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Moksha, what they think as, monists, they think as Moksha means liberate into Brahman. But what is the scriptural definition actually of Moksha? Mukti. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. Means what? Mukti means becoming situated in one's own original constitutional position. That is called as Mukti. So that is proper definition. Second canto this comes. Second canto, 10th chapter, verse number 6. 10 to 10:6. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. So understand. So what is Mukti means? To understand our constitutional position as the eternal servant of the Lord. So it is not that we destroy our identity. No, we never destroy our identity. But we realize our actual identity. That is Mukti, not destruction of identity. And Buddhist conception of Nirvana is also corresponds to the same principle. What is Nirvana means? Basically you realize your eternal identity. Nirvana means you become free from material identity and you become situated in spiritual identity. That's what Nirvana means. But Buddhists, they have different concept of Nirvana. They say that Nirvana means you cease to exist. You don't exist only. Yes, material concept cease to exist, but spiritual concept is there. So they are taking only one side of it. Yes, material concept cease to exist, of a person at the stage of nirvana. But spiritual concept does exist, but they don't take that. It's only one part of that they are taking. So there is a, after cessation of material activities, what happens? There is a beginning of spiritual activities. Not that one becomes inactive. So that is not real nirvana. Real nirvana means we become free from material activities and we engage into spiritual activities. That is called as nirvana. So even in Prabhupada is quoting our even Vedanta Sutra also. What is that? Anandamayo Abhyasat. Every living entity is pleasure seeking by nature or full of pleasure by nature. So that is Prabhupada saying that is very easily achieved by Bhakti Yoga. This process of Bhakti Yoga. Then Prabhupada is mentioning about these two types of samadhi. Sampradhyata samadhi, asampradhyata samadhi. Means what? One sampradhyata samadhi means what? One becomes situated in transcendental position by various philosophical research. Basically through Jnana Yoga. When one attains samadhi through the process of Jnana Yoga, that is called as sampradhyata samadhi. And asampradhyata samadhi means that one becomes free from all types of such material endeavors and all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. Then it is called as asampradhyata samadhi. So, and such a yogi who is situated in transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. So now in Ashtanga Yoga, unless until person reaches to that samadhi stage, he is considered to be unsuccessful yogi. Is considered to be unsuccessful. So we can imagine what do you call it as today's yoga practices, modern yoga practices. They are not even beginning yoga. Not to speak of any success in yoga. So Prabhupada is saying that these yogis are indulging in sex and intoxication. Even person who has attained yoga siddhi, generally people think that he has become perfected. He is also not considered to be perfected. So when the yogi is considered to be perfected?
When he has attained
Means
Fixed,
fixed and what?
material
yoga.
Material things is fixed in.
material desires or material things. So
Okay, that's it. That is the perfection. So somebody is on a yoga siddhi level, he also may be free from material conception.
Yoga means we are talking about your yoga Ruda stage.
Perfection of yoga is what? What is perfection of yoga?
connection.
Is connected.
Connection?
To Lord.
Huh?
Ultimate perfection is like
Rohit Prabhu?
Is connected to Supreme Lord.
His connection with Supreme Lord is established. This is very essential concept. Otherwise, you will get bewildered by seeing different yogis. You will think, oh, ye Baba, he is producing gold. This Baba is producing ashes. That Baba is, walking on the water. He is perfected. No. So, please understand this fact very clearly. Yoga perfection means one becomes situated in meditation in Supreme Lord. What is yoga perfection? What is yoga perfection? Is situated in meditation on the Supreme Lord. That is yogi perfection. Not becoming expert in gymnastics of asanas. Not getting yoga siddhis. Yoga siddhis is also not perfection. Okay. So that's how those yogis who are attracted to siddhis, they are not perfect. And those yogis, not only they are not perfect, if they get attracted, they cannot attain perfection. So they get distracted over there. So वो माया का उनको भी चल रहता है कि Maya will try to attract them. अरे चलो सिद्धिस ले लो अभी. Then he gets carried away by that only. Then he doesn't try for actually perfection. And he keeps on showing off in material world. Oh, I had this siddhi, I had that siddhi. In this way, is diverted like that. So at the end, Prabhupada is mentioning about how Krishna consciousness is the best yoga, which will come as the last verse of this chapter. So Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness, one gets full happiness in his occupation and he doesn't aspire for any other happiness. So we see that, many times in practice of devotees, they have given us so many other material happiness which they used to derive from before. Some of the devotees were very addicted to tea. Now they don't drink tea at all, isn't it? So they are getting higher taste. Similarly, some of the devotees were addicted to watching movies. They don't watch movies now, isn't it? So now this is the because one gets some transcendental happiness in devotional service, so he doesn't aspire for other types of happiness. Prabhupada would say when he was in Juhu, just see behind our temple there is Chandan Cinema Hall, but none of our devotees go and watch movie there. These are all young American boys. They are addicted to watching movies and such things, but they are going and they are not watching there. They are not going there and watching movies. So this is the proof that they are advanced purposes. So also in what he does in practical life, a devotee, he makes best use of bad bargain. In other yoga practices, at least as long as you are on a material conception of life, you are considered to be failure. That's why Shankaracharya first qualification for practicing this system of Shankaracharya is what? Sannyas is the first qualification. So with material conceptions of life, one cannot practice other yoga systems. So that's why these yogis, they cannot stay in the city with family and all that. They have to leave everything. Then only they can practice other types of yoga. But Prabhupada is saying in Bhakti Yoga, what devotee does, he makes the best use of the bad bargain. So this material body and things related to material body is a bad bargain because they are actually giving us a lot of trouble rather than happiness. But he makes best use of it. So he meets the bodily demands, but without arousing sensual pressures. So this facility is not there in other yogas. Bhakti Yoga is the only yoga where this facility of, so Prabhupada is telling that in Kali Yuga we see that so much of hypocrisy and so much strict, these regulative principles and all of Ashtanga Yoga, it's almost impossible to follow. So the only hope for people in Kali Yuga is Bhakti Yoga, because by Bhakti Yoga, any person in any rung of society, in any class, at any stage of advancement, he can practice Bhakti Yoga. Somebody, even he is not able to follow four regulative principles, still he can practice Bhakti Yoga. Like that. Still he can be, because he can still chant. Is it a qualification to chant that one has to give up? When we tell the new boys to chant, do we tell them that first of all you have to give up meat eating, then only you can chant? Do we tell like that? We say no, you chant. And even if the boy says that, sir, 1 year has passed, I am not able to give up meat eating, no problem, continue chanting. So there is no bar, isn't it? But certainly, one's chanting will not be as effective if one is breaking four regulative principles or other principles. But one is not forbidden to practice Bhakti Yoga if one is impure. Similarly, there is no such consideration of which ashram you belong to. Person can in any ashram can practice. Person in any varna can practice. Generally, for Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it is very difficult to practice Ashtanga Yoga system. It's so tough. Only a Brahmanical person, he only can practice. That's why even Vishwamitra failed, because he was Kaushik Raja. He was Kshatriya, so it was very tough for him to practice all this. So only a Brahmanical person. But Bhakti Yoga, everybody can practice. Similarly, women cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga very easily. But Bhakti Yoga, women, children, old, new, everyone can practice. Right? So Prabhupada is saying, and such a devotee, he remains unshaken and fixed up. Means what? He is callous to incidental occurrences. So although material upheavals may happen, still a devotee doesn't get affected by them, that we discussed already. And despite all material ups and downs, he is always alert to his Krishna conscious duties. So Prabhupada calls that as fixity. Fixity means what? Whatever may happen in your life. Many ups and downs may happen in your life, but you continue Krishna consciousness. You remain fixed up in your practice of bhakti. So that is called as fixity in Krishna consciousness. So in this way, there is a very, very long purport Prabhupada described. But nonetheless, because 4 verses are covered at a time, almost. So it's like equivalent only. Okay, we'll take one more verse, 24th verse, and then we'll start. Then we'll not take verse. Okay.
Samadhi we are discussing. So as we were discussing, the conclusion of all the purport is same. So this samadhi and the samadhi which we have in our spiritual bhakti life, so are they like same?
क्या
Means one state of samadhi is there in the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, and one state of samadhi is like we call he is in samadhi, means spiritual aspect. So are they both?
Ashtanga yoga also is spiritual aspect only of samadhi. He is meditating on Supreme Lord. It's a spiritual aspect. It's not material samadhi.
But that's like at the end, right?
Hmm.
Then again, this verse comes. Yoginam Abhishek.
Hmm.
In samadhi, he'll meditate on Supreme Lord.
Hmm.
So that is real samadhi.
Yeah, that's what now we discussed. That what is perfection of yoga? Means he is meditating on the Supreme Lord.
Means until unless he is not meditating on Supreme Lord, that cannot be called as samadhi.
That can be called as samadhi.
And which one thing we are discussing about mukti. So one type of mukti is this Sayujya mukti.
Hmm.
So can you elaborate like what?
Sayujya Mukti means liberating into merging into impersonal Brahma Jyoti. That is Sayujya.
But we see that individuality is never lost.
So just like there are Prabhupada says, just like in sun ray there are some particles you see in the sun ray. Similarly, person remains as small entities. They are like hanging in Brahma Jyoti. Because they will get bored there. Although that is a relief from miseries, but there is no positive happiness. So in order to experience positivity, they again come back. So maybe we can stop here for now. Next week we'll take this 24th verse. 25th verse, 26th verse have very small purports. Now not many big purports, at least till 28th verses, very small purports are there. Then little purports will come. So next week we'll be able to cover. Today also we covered 4 verses. Still, next week we'll be able to cover more verses. I think so. Quite fast. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai.
Yeah.
What is this YouTube streaming?
It is streaming in YouTube.
Somebody is not able to join Zoom, so they can.
So you have YouTube channel also here?
Anybody can do that.
Acha. Zoom and YouTube are connected also.
Like in
We don't
temple
have-
also they do.
We don't have paid
We
one.
watch in Zoom. Those who cannot watch in Zoom.
Oh,
And one thing in YouTube is that it remains.
without having account also it remains there.
That means we can search later on if I watch different. Means it's like unlimited storage space.